Hi guys, welcome to Code Decode. In this video, we will be looking into stream interview traps. Just a quick heads up, nowadays, interviews are not straightforward when it comes to streams. They will not ask you what is a terminal operator, what is intermediate operator, or the straightforward questions. What nowadays interviewers are doing is, they take a concept from say collection framework, the iterator concept. They merge it with the streams and then combining two very large big topics of Java into one. Collection is a big topic, Java streams are the big topic. They merge both of them and then they make a trap out of that and then they ask you such questions. That is where most of the people completely either go blank or end up giving the wrong answers. So the motive of this video is to tell you in depth the basics of streams and these kinds of traps combining multiple effects so that you don't get into such traps. The very first trap is the very good example of using the iterator concept from collections and merging into streams. So let's get started and see the first question first. Modifying the source during stream. Now source is actually nothing but the collection. And modifying that gives you a concurrent modification exception. And yes, now you would ask me, the concurrent modification exception comes when an iterator gives an exception during the iteration of the collection. How is this coming in the stream? So yes, internally what stream uses is nothing but an iterator over the collection. So streams internally uses iterator and using them iterator has a side effect. And what is that side effect? It gives the concurrent modification exception when you try to break the iteration consistency. What does that mean? That means list is a collection. This for each starts an iterator. Now when you are iterating list by list, item by item in the list, if you change the size of the list, it will give you, what iterator gives you is concurrent modification exception, and that's exactly what comes in the stream traversal also. So let me give you this example through a code. So when you do list.stream, what happens? Let's go to the code first now. So this is a list and there's a list.stream. What does list.stream do? It uses internally the split iterator. What does this split iterator do? It creates the stream backed by the collection split iterator. When you open the split iterator, it says that internally this split iterator is a fail-fast property of iterator's collection. That means since split iterator is a fail-fast property, that is why your iteration over your collection also becomes fail-fast. Now, if you remember when we had a collections trap, we had seen that array list internally. We have seen through this Java class only. I still have this list and array list open in from the previous video. So in the previous video, we have already seen that array list internally uses modification count. So when you create a, let me open both together. So when we create an array list with say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then this list, the size of this mod count is going to be 4 with the list of 1, 2, 3, 4. So now when it starts the iteration with this method for each, then this iterator has an expected mod count also of 4. Now, what is the fail-fast mechanism? So every collection like array list maintains a mod count, which is a number of structural modifications, or total. For here right now the mod count is 4. So when iteration starts, the expected mod count is actually 4. Now during traversal, what happens? Let me copy the traversal also for you. So during traversal, it starts with the first element 1, then it adds that element again to the list. So now after the first iteration, my list becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now what is the mod count of this list? It is 5. So now mod count was 4. Sorry, mod count is 5 and expected mod count was 4. Where 5 is not equals to 4, it throws concurrent modification exception. So this is what happens when you try to iterate over the list during the stream operation and you try to modify the underlying collection. The same what iterator gives you an exception, the same exception you will also see with the streams also. Now you'll ask me what is structural modification. The structural modification was like this: list.add, list.remove and those stuff. But if I do list of 0 and replace it with some another value, that is not a structural modification because the size of the list still remains the same. And the mod counts and expected mod counts just work on the numbers. It does not work with the element values. So add was a breaking change because it breaks the iteration and does the structural change, it increases the size. But list dot set at a particular position the new value, it is safe because there is no size change. The mod count and the expected mod count do not change and you are safe. So how stream traversal actually works internally? Now list.stream actually gives you the split iterator. Here list.stream was written you a split iterator. Now the terminal operation, that is for each operation, triggers the traversal. And now I'm going to cover in the next part what is this terminal operation and why it is really important. Most of the people even go wrong with the even simple terminal operation also. They do the wrong when they don't know the basics. So in the next, just after this, the question will be based on this terminal operation only. Now it iterates element by element. Remember, this is also one of the interview trap. Whenever the stream works, it works element by element. It takes the first element, goes to the whole stream at once. It does not do that. One element will go through all the different kinds of operations till first intermediate. Then the second element goes to the second intermediate operation. The third element does not go through the same intermediate operation. The first element goes through all the intermediate and the terminal operator, and then only the second element is picked up. So it iterates element by element. So here in our case, when we have list.stream.forEach, first one is fetched, it is processed till end, and then second element is picked up. But where it actually breaks, the iterator creates a mod count of 4. It processes element number 1. It adds to the list and the list becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now in the next iteration, the expected mod count remains the initial one, which is 4, but now the mod count is 5. That is where it is not equal and the concurrent modification exception is thrown. And a very important trap. Now, if you understand this concept, just understand the same concept that we have in the iterator. Is it all about multi-threaded environment? Answer is no. Even a single threaded code also throws concurrent modification exception. Concurrent does not always mean multiple threads. Concurrent modification exception also mean that your iterator concurrently while traversing the list is also modifying the list. That is also known as concurrency. That you're doing two things in parallel on the same collection. It doesn't mean that your two different threads are getting invoked onto the same collection. It also means that your two operations are going to work on the same collection. So concurrent does not always mean multiple threads. Concurrent might also mean multiple operations on the same underlying collection. So it is not talking about thread concurrency, but actually the operations concurrency. Remember, 90% of the people even now might not have understood what I meant by operation concurrency. Operation concurrency means you are iterating and you are adding same time in the same iteration onto the same collection or the list. Now you would ask me why to do that? Why was Java designed in this way? This is because it prevents infinite loop. Because you might keep on adding elements and you can still iterate over it. So I can go on and do it 100 number of times. Now every time I add, my list increases. So it never ends. So it might create an infinite loop. It may have the element skipped. It may have corrupted iterations also. So fail fast prevents all such situations because it fails early instead of giving you the wrong result. So the rule is never modify source collection during stream processing. What you would have rather done, rather than doing list.stream.forEach and add to this, rather than doing the modification and iteration with the for each terminal operator, you might have done it into a new collection and added into it. So you would have created a new array list, and onto the old list you would have streamed. You would have mapped it or added it to the new array list as a new element and add to the new array list rather than modifying the underlying list. Or you could have used a separate target list also. So you would have created a results list, and then for each element you might have added that element to the new list. So here your list remains intact, but during the terminal operation, that element is getting added to the new list known as result. So here you are operating on the same list and iterating over same list. Here you are operating on list and adding and modifying the another kind of list known as result. So this is also a safe operation. This is the safe counterpart of this line is going to be this line. But this is not memory efficient because initially you have just one list in memory. Now you are going to maintain two lists in memory, that is the origin list and the new list that you are creating. So this is not in-memory solution. This is rather a performance and a memory impact because you are creating two lists for one single task Also, there is multiple safe alternatives to iterators. You could have used remove if, or if you want to remove, obviously not for add, but if you were removing from the list and structurally modifying it, you could have used remove if, because remove if internally uses iterator, which is fail safe. And if you ask me how would I have done for the normal list, you could have used copy on write array list, which is concurrent modification exception safe. It will not throw an exception, but it comes with a cost. All of these concurrent collections, which is thread safe or the concurrent modification exception safe, comes with a cost because it is very expensive. It creates copy on each and every write you do. So it is safe during iteration and modification, but it is very expensive because it writes a copy for each and every write you do to the base or the original collection. Now, very important, streams are designed for functional style coding and side effect free operations. This for each adding to the list becomes stateful, because in iteration you are also maintaining the state. Plus, it is side effect and it is an anti pattern. So the worst part is stream internally uses fail fast iterator backed by the mod count. Now, structural modification like adding and removing elements during the iteration changes the mod count, which breaks the consistency, and throw concurrent modification exception even in the single thread. Do not think concurrent means multiple threads. It is also multiple operations on the same collection during the same iteration. So this was how they will trap you with combination of different concepts, one from collection, one from Java 8 streams. Now, second is, now let me remove all of this first. Let's go for the second trap. Hey guys, recently we have launched a course covering an end-to-end full stack application using Angular as front end and microservices and Spring Boot as the back end. Also, we have used Cloud to deploy this application, and we have used CI/CD, that is Jenkins and Argo CD, for continuous integration and continuous deployment. The technologies that we have used is REST, RESTful web services, Spring Boot and microservices for backend, Angular for front end. GitHub we have used for version control system. Also, to make the code unit testable, we have used JUnits. We have used Sonar for code quality checks. Also, for containerization, we have used Docker and Kubernetes. And to deploy this whole application, we have used AWS and multiple services from AWS. Also, we have used SQL as well as NoSQL, that is MongoDB and SQL. On AWS, since for the SQL we have RDS, we have used those services, and Jenkins and Argo CD for CI/CD pipeline. Also, this is an architecture of the application that we have created where the front end is Angular and the back end is microservices. We have used ALB load balancers, Ingress for routing and load balancing. And we have used SQL and MongoDB for SQL and NoSQL DB management with Eureka Server and all those microservices counterparts. Now, this is the CI/CD pipeline. This is the CI/CD flowchart for the application that we have created on local. So this is something, a flow when you create an application in local, push it to GitHub, create a Jenkins pipeline, and do the CI/CD using Jenkins and Argo CD. And at the end, deploy the whole code at AWS EKS. Complete description of this course is covered in a very separate video. The link for that video is also given in the description bar below. And also the link to purchase that course from Udemy is also in the description bar below. So please go and check the description for all these links. Now I'll give you a question. There is a list where there is a list of 1, 2 and 3. Let me copy this code for you for the reference for the future purpose. Now what you do, you open a stream on the list of 1, 2, 3. You map each element with its into 2. So now what do you expect out of this? Your 1, 2, 3 becomes 2, 4 and 6. This is what we expect because we are returning x into 2. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 3 becomes 6. So it will print 2, 4, 6. But actually what happens in reality, it will not print anything. Why? Because if you see, you just read this line properly. You have a list, which is a collection. You open a stream over it. And what you do is an intermediate operation, that is map. Let me show you with a code. If I open a stream and map over it, this map is obviously an intermediate operation. What does that mean? An intermediate operation is the one which will never trigger any traversal or iteration over the elements of the collection. So in reality, streams are lazy. That means If there is no terminal operation, no traversal, no execution, and your system.out.println will actually never print anything ever onto your console. You will be sitting on front of your system with the console expected to be as 1, 2, or 3, or if you would have printed something out of this after collecting it, it might have worked because collection is a terminal operation, but without that you will not be able to get anything. If system.out.println would have be done as x into 2, then you would have expected 246. If it is printed here, you would have expected 123. But in reality, do not expect anything because you have just used an intermediate operation, no terminal operation. So this is an intermediate operation, which is just a pipeline stage. It stores x or the lambda, but it does not run anything. So the point is, your pipeline is a source plus its operation, but no data has flown out of it yet. So you can consider that when you reach to an airport, you put your luggages on the conveyor belt, but there is nobody out there to pick that luggage from the conveyor belt and add it to the aircraft that you're going to travel with. That means, in reality, your luggage is still going round and round in the airport itself, and it will never reach its destination. So that is the analogy I can give you for intermediate and terminal operator. At the terminal, there must be some person at the conveyor belt to pick it up and give it to you or give it to the aircraft people to get it to the destination. So no data flows until there is a terminal operation. No terminal operation, no trigger. It keeps on roaming and does nothing over it. What are these terminal operators? For each, collect, toList, which actually starts the traversal or starts the movement of the elements from the stream. So without it, no iteration happens, no lambda execution happens, no printing happens. It also, one more good example or real-time example is this is just the recipe. But actual cooking happens and happen only when the terminal operation is received. Until then, there is just a waiter taking out your order and just thinking about the recipe. The actual cooking is not yet done. Now, how actually it will work? If you just add to this particular system the toList, now this terminal operator calls the evaluate method or some kind of method which will start evaluating your elements in the list. Now starts consuming element one by one. Remember, always one element is traversing over a whole stream or over a whole execution. It is never 246 will never go directly into map. Only 2 will go to the map and do everything, and then it is toList which is going to add it to a new list. So for each element, pass through the full pipeline from start to end, execute map, and then move to the next one only. So it will not process all at once during the map. Also, there is a one very big interview trap you can see here. You would say that this was such a lame question that you have picked up. That since there is no terminal operator, nothing will work, nothing will be printed. But do you know that at line number 2, system.out.println, nowadays in this coding life is called as a side effect function. Why? Because first of all, there is no terminal operator, so lambda is never invoked and side effect never happened. But if there would have been a terminal operation, then your system.out.println line number 2 would have become a side effect method. And why is it a side effect method and very dangerous in stream? I'll tell you why after covering few points. So what does the side effect means? Side effect means doing something extra apart from returning a value. Now look at this code. You map, you print, and you return. You are doing two things. The important thing is to return x into 2. This is what map actually do. It takes 1, returns 2. It takes 2, it returns 4. It takes 3, it returns 6. But the system.out.println is an extra work, which is not expected from map to be done. So map expects input and it returns you an output. But when you have added this system.out.println, what you are expecting the map to do? Get an input, provide an output, but also print it. Printing is not the part of the result. So this is a side effect. I'll give you a real-time analogy. There is a raw material coming to your factory and your output is a finished product. Now a worker also shouts the number of products it has processed. And that shouting is just a side effect because it is not going to increase the productivity or it is not going to increase the number of finished products. So it was not needed. It was just an extra behavior that your worker was doing. Now why it is called a side effect in nowadays Java 8 terms? Because the main effect is get x, return x into 2. The side effect is something which happens on the side and does not hamper your output. So if you remove the println, your result still is for 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 4 and 3 becomes 6. But if you remove the return x into 2 and just keep system.out.println, then your map will not actually do anything. It will just print and just leave. So println is a side effect, and the real main logic and magic happens in the return x into 2. So the side effect is something which is done outside the stream result instead of just transforming input to output. So anything which is not going to hamper your output or the result of the intermediate operation is just the side effect functions. So basically we have covered 2 traps in one question. Sorry, I did not realize doing creation of it. Now let's go to the third trap, which is very important. Let me delete everything right now and let me copy this question for you for the reference. Now what happens here? What do you think will be an output? Suppose I have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, then what should be the output of this code? You think 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to map. It prints 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a side effect method, but that's okay. Right now it is just for the debugging. Never do that in production. You're expected that when you iterate over the list, your output of map would be 2, 4, 6, 8. Then you filter any x greater than 5. Yes, the 6 and 8 is greater than 5. So find first and you will return 6. But that is not how it is going to be. The actual behavior is very different. The reason is all the 4 elements will never pass through this whole pipeline because you have short circuited here. Each and every line of Java 8 code is very important because if you remember, if you see here, the terminal operation is fine. The terminal operations are also kind of short circuiting operators. The short circuit operators make sure that you have a very good performance when it comes to streams. First of all, streams are lazy. Second, it is pipeline based, and there are some shortcutting terminal operators like find first, which prevents the execution or the processing of all the elements to the whole pipeline. How it actually works. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 going to map and returning 2, 4, 6, 8, and then filtering out only 6 and 8, and then filtering out only 6, it works it takes first element, pass it through the full pipeline. That is, one goes through map, through filter, and then find first. And then you decide for the next one. So how it goes? First element comes, it maps to 2. It checks whether 2 is greater than 5. Answer is no. Then the terminal operation is not called. Then it iterates and fetch the second. The map gives the result as output as 4. 4 is still not greater than 5. Again, terminal operation does not short circuit. It processes the third element. The third element maps to 6. It filters 6 greater than 5. It becomes true. And that is where short circuit happens. And fourth element, that is 4, is never going to go through the stream at all because it stops then and there. So the actual print will be map gets 1, filter gets 2, map gets 2, filter gets 4, map gets 3, filter gets 6, and as soon as filter gets 6 is greater than 5, short circuit happens. 4 is never moved through this particular whole stream, processing stops early, element 4 and beyond are never touched, and this increases the performance very nicely because if it is a list of 100 elements, you might have stopped at the third element processing. It is increasing the performance drastically. It provides unnecessary computation prevention, and it enables short circuit operations like find first, any match, etc. So always filter early reduces the work downstream. If there is any expensive transformation in the map, then this short circuit operations prevents those expensive transformations. So this is less CPU, fast response, better scalability. So stream process elements one by one through the full pipeline. It is a lazy evaluation, and short circuit operators like find first stops the execution early and thereby preventing any such delays, and order of operation directly impacts the performances. Now the fourth trap I have is with the parallel stream. Now again, this is a combination of iterator and the parallelism, which comes as a side effect of stream also. Now, array list is not a thread safe, and this is a concept of collections. Now, on an array list, when multiple threads write simultaneously, what will happen? Let me delete the old data. Let me give you an example here. So now what happens? You have a collection, and for that collection, you want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on till 1000. But you are trying to do that in parallel. What will happen? This array list is not thread safe. So when multiple threads tries to write to it, it converts into parallel mode. It uses fork join pool, and the data is split into chunks using split iterator. This is what I have shown you here also, the split iterator, right? Now your thread 1 is going to handle your int streams from 1 to 250. Maybe the second thread might have from 251 to 500 and so on. And that is how you might have 1, 2, 3 or hundreds of threads also. Now each thread runs list.add and they all share the same object, that is list, which is an original object. Now what happens? List.add is not an atomic operation. What does list.add contains? It first fetch the size. Onto that size, add a new element and do size plus plus. So what does it do? It first read the size of list. Then write the element at the last index of that list. And then increment the size so that the next iteration writes at the next element in the index of the array in the size. What happens then? Suppose the list is of size 10. Now thread A comes, reads the size of the list as 10. B also sees the size as 10. Now A writes at the 10th index. B also writes at the 10th index. So what A has written the 10th index is overridden now. So you have lost update. Now A increments the size to 11. B also increments the size to 11. So now where you should have a size of array to be 12, it is only 11. Also where you expect the A's update at 10th index and B's at the 11th index, you have B's update at the 10th itself and your A's update is lost. So that is update lost. Your lost update. So your element which is overridden by B, so the element written by A is lost. It is missing element. It has duplicate writes at the 10th index. It corrupted the internal state and might even go for out of bound exceptions in few cases. So the for each is never for parallel operation. Even if the thread safety is there, order is not guaranteed until you use for each ordered. We are going to cover for each ordered in a very detail in the upcoming question. But if you use for each ordered, it is going to reduce your parallelism behavior. So the core problem is if you have a mutual state, shared mutual state, which is a list here. The list is the underlying mutually shared collection. And onto that, if you do the parallelism execution, that becomes a race condition. This what you saw here, the lost update is because of the race condition happening in the list. So how would you fix it? You would have used collections.synchronize list. But this makes the performance kill because if it is synchronized, parallelism will not be able to spawn up multiple threads, or even if it have multiple threads, if one thread is writing, all of those will wait. So that is the performance kill. And parallelism, though it seems to be parallel, but if it works on the synchronized list, it will never be parallel in reality. So the better and fixed approach is during the parallelism, use collect.list. What does this collect do? Collect works differently. What does collect do is for each thread, it gets its own local copy. Maybe a deep copy or the shallow copy, but internally all the threads will have its own copy and they work with its own internal copy. Now at the end, when all the 4 threads are done, the merge step happens. This is what is called as fork and join. So at the first step, fork happens, 4 threads are spawned, and at the end, all the 4 threads are merged. That is fork and join. There is no shared mutual race condition happening kind of list because thread 1 will have the copy of list, thread 2 will have copy of list, thread 3 will have copy of list, thread 4 will have copy of list. Now this is defined by the collector contract itself. So when it is running in multiple containers, merge is safe. So avoid shared mutual state in parallel stream and try to use the collect method, which will prevent the race condition in mutually shared thing. So parallel streams split the work across threads. Using a shared mutual structure like array list causes a race condition because add is not an atomic operation. It consists of the 3 operations. The add consists of the 3 operations which are read, write and increment. So this is what happens when you do list.add. One single line that you see here involves 3 steps like this. So list.add was not an atomic operation but a combination of 3 operations, and those 3 operations when done with the 2 or multiple threads simultaneously causes the race condition. But remember, collect terminal operation is a safe operation because it uses thread local containers and merge them during the joining part. So collect uses fork and join, and each branch or the each thread will have its own local copy to work upon, and at the end they merge them all. Now the last one that I'll be covering in this video is difference between find first and find any. Find first respects the order. Find any may return any element. It will not respect the order in which the elements were added into your collection. Now, if you ask me for the performance wise, find any is pretty much faster, but it does not maintain order. But when you want to have the order also maintained, use find first. Now, I have very important questions like why streams are single use. What happens when you use the auto closable, that is a file.io kind of stuff merged with two streams, the closable stream, the files operations and those stuff. I have a lot of combination of stream and other Java concepts combined into the stream and then a trap being created. So if you want a second part, just let me know in the comment section. I'll create another trap video on that. Thank you.